ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. Today we'll hear from Thomas Brown about his favorite Beagles, hunting and Christmas tree farms, the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, and a lot more. Help me welcome Thomas to the program. Well, hey Thomas, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. It's good to hear your voice. I know you guys have been through a lot up there in the mountains here lately, and I want to get to that after a while and kind of ask you how you guys are doing and a little bit about the future. But really excited to have you on. Really excited to learn a little bit more about you and what it's like hunting up in the mountains. For folks that maybe don't know Thomas Brown, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself and maybe how you got into rabbit hunting?
Yeah. Well, I live in Ashe County, North Carolina. A member of 2 or 3 clubs right here close by. Got a 16-year-old son, trying to get him on the right path, you know. It's hard to deal with a young man like that, but, we're just doing good. I grew up right here in these mountains. That's why it's been so heartbreaking, my whole life. 50 years here, been in the outdoors, and kind of got started out in the Beagles a little bit. We had mixed up dogs, fast and Beagle. We just rabbit hunted, and kind of grew out of it when I got to my teenage years. Later on, up in my 30s, got back into the dog business, just messing with them a little bit. But anyhow, that's been pretty simple, I guess. Work and try to do the fun things,
Could you tell us a little bit about, as you got back into the beagling in your 30s, who were some of the people that helped you do that? Maybe those people that were the biggest influences on you and kind of helped you get back into it.
Yeah, I'd say that's been my brother Ronnie. He had Beagles and I had coonhounds, and we was trying to competition. We did a little bit in the coonhounds, but then Ronnie, he got them Beagles and kind of got started on a good track. Had a nice female that played us good. We're still hunting stuff out of her today, or third generation, but I'd say Ronnie probably influenced me the most on getting back into the Beagles. After the time or two going with him, I'd win every time he went, but it was hard to do both. Woody Crowder and Art Fanner and these guys, and they promoted these clubs where we could take these dogs and hunt them, and that was a big influence, because without that, I probably wouldn't have traveled none at the time,
When you got started, and I know you have had some favorite hounds, some of the dogs that you've hunted, you've had some really good hounds, done really well with them over the years. But what are some of your favorite ones?
I'd have to say about pretty much anything I've had so far up to right now has been really good to me. As far as favorite ones, the ones I could catch. My mower dog, that's when we really started consistently winning. With the females we had before, they all granted out, but they was nice dogs. But the mower dog come from Jeff and Mark, and from 4 months old, he mounted a rabbit up, and he was, he's probably one of my favorites. 2018, I had my whippersnapper dog. I like her. She's not a jump dog, but she runs a real good track. I won the junior all-star race with her in 2018 at the East region, and that made her one of my favorite dogs, I guess. But, pretty much about anything that I've been around has been really good to me. Not 100% winners, but, you win enough, so...
Well, Thomas, I know you've hunted all over the country too in the past many years. What are some of the best hounds that you've run up against? that really caught your eye? I mean, you left the hunt thinking, wow, that's a pretty good dog.
I think there's more of them today than there was when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
The dogs, a lot more. They seem to be a lot more better dogs, but in this day and time than it was when I first got into this. And I'll have to say they've been several dogs out there that's really impressed me through the years. You know, holding the eliminators, and we held a couple world hunts and the NHDA days, and you know, I've seen some really nice hounds come through Tennessee over there. And as far as picking them out, they probably too many to name, but I think pretty much everybody knows about who they are and how they run. Some I didn't run with, but a couple times, you know, it's hard to say, but on some of the days I did run with them, they looked really great, you know. What to have, even, you know, not just in Tennessee, but in different areas too, you know. It's come a long ways, I think.
Well, I want you to name names. So what if I ask you to put together like a dream cast of 4 dogs, and they could be living or dogs from the past, but 4 dogs you would like to see go at each other?
Oh shoot, some of them done been together that I've seen, but you know the Mongo dog, he pretty much proved himself all over the country. You know, the Chief dog, Trevor McQueen, and he's got, you know, he's been an awesome dog. Jeff and Kristen, you know, Frank and Flame, always Hall of Fame dogs. Just about any 4 of them would be a super cast, I'm sure.
Well, out of those 4 dogs that you just mentioned, who wins? Who's gonna win that cast?
I'd have to say it depends on the scent day. And that, I mean, there's a lot. It depends on, you know, if you're in a lot of rabbits, it'd be hard to beat the Mongo dog. Now, you know, I've seen that firsthand. You know, if it's a bad scenting day, I'd probably have to go with, I don't know, maybe Freck, because they're just a little bit tighter dogs. Nothing against the other dogs, but, you know, them dogs didn't draw much minus. You know, and it just depends on the area, the conditions, and stuff like that, you know, but I'd say Mongo would probably win. You know, if he kept his head on straight, you know, because that's one tough dog. I've seen him in just a few rabbits, and he done really well. He might take a minus, but he'd make it back up on the rabbit, you know. But it'd be hard to put either one of them out, you know. Any cast, any given day, every dog I think could win that.
That's a good answer.
You know, there's so much that plays into it, you know, but like I say, that's a dream cast. I've seen that dog bump heads before, you know, and more or less it boils down to the conditions, and, you know, just to be in that Final Four is an accomplishment itself, you know. So, if I wouldn't care to be in there with them. I probably wouldn't stand no chance to win, but I wouldn't care to be in there with them just to get to see it. You know what I mean?
You'd have a front row seat.
Hey, you don't get to see good ones go every day, and when you get a chance to, you need to try to join in and watch what you can, you know?
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, talk to us a little bit about some of your favorite memories that you've had over the years, because I know that's one of the biggest reasons a lot of people hunting these things. I mean, it's nice to win a trophy or a place in a hunt, but you really build some really long-time relationships, and you end up having some good times over the years in these things. But are there any hunts or do you have any memories that really jump out at you? Big wins, tough losses, anything like that you'd like to share?
Yeah, you know, through the years, I'll have to say that about everybody that I've met in the Beagle business has been great people. That really makes it go a lot better. You know.
Well, you mentioned winning the All-Star Series, at least the east part of it with whippersnapper, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that was a good deal. That meant you was in the Final Four at NHBA days in the register, and I got first place with my drifter dog. That was pretty good. Some of them I got a state hunt win with older, one of my first dogs. Pretty much about all of them's been a pretty good memorable, but like them there stands out. I didn't have to do no good to eliminate or maybe make it through the first round, But as far as winning something good like that, the NHBA days, first place registered, that was a big win, probably my biggest win. My whippersnapper dog, that was all through the year. I think she won like 5 casts that year, and that was 5 memorable casts, It was just the fun of being in the race, whether you win or not. It's just the fun of being involved in it, I'm sure we'll have a lot more to come on, hopefully, in the future years, and God's willing, to get some beat. But, I think nowadays I just enjoy the cast more than the winning. I like to win, don't get me wrong, but just getting out there and seeing how people react, and it's the dog business is tough. You have good days and bad days, but I think everybody just needs to remember how friendly everybody was and enjoy the sport, whether you win or lose,
Oh, yeah.
And I think that makes it pretty memorable when you go out, whether you win or not, you can say, dang, that was a good cast. We was probably the best cast of the day, There's been a lot of days like that,
Well, this is kind of maybe a part 2 of this question. If you hunt long enough, you're bound to see some weird or crazy things that happen. So could you talk about maybe one of the craziest things you've ever seen while you've been out hunting?
Well, I don't know. I've seen a few deer chases. But, I about have to say, was in a hunt here this year, and was up there, and me and my brother was in the cast with Kristen and Booker, and he just had took the lead, and we was up there and saw one with a big old pond, and we kept them dogs in there, and on his dog went over there and barked 3 times and jumped over in that pond, and we thought, we didn't know what to think. We didn't say nothing, and that was a pretty crazy deal. I thought we was aggravating him over having a bullfrog dog. But anyway, but the next hunt they had, Alan Newby and them was up there, and a rabbit had jumped out in that pond and swam around the edge and got up in the high grass over there or something, he said, on the bank. But he said that rabbit jumped out in that water and swam through there, and then I was thinking, boy, that was crazy right there. That dog, she acted crazy, when she jumped in that water. We didn't know what she was doing, but it could have possibly been a rabbit, but, that was one of the craziest things I've seen in a while.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Could you describe what it's like hunting up there? What are hunting conditions like where you live, and maybe talk about what kind of dog it takes to win up there?
Well, we've got the Christmas trees, and I really like to hunt the bars more, but we've got more Christmas trees, and it seems like the rabbits, they pile in these trees when the varmints ain't too bad. But I think the dogs can trail them better in the bars. The trees got too much going on. People in there working, trimming, spraying, fertilizing. I think that makes a lot of the running a little bit tough sometimes. But something that just covers the ground in these Christmas trees, I think, will run across more rabbits. It ain't like having to get in the right spot in these bars to find where he's setting, Most of the part, conditions is pretty good till we get the little ones out, and then it gets tough. But Kind of steep. It don't take long to get a dog in good shape.
No, that's a fact.
Get to running, and these hills right here, some of them's pretty steep, and it don't take long to get one in shape. But we don't hunt much during deer season. I mean, we kind of take off a little bit from that, maybe squeeze in a day or two. But but for the most part, it's about like anywhere else. The conditions, either they're smelling pretty good, or you may have to slow down and run them. If you got a dog, I like for one to gear down. But it's hard to get them kind.
Well, I'll tell you, because I've hunted up there with you guys many times over the years, and I started calling your clubs the Four Seasons clubs, because I swear you could come up and on like a Friday and it'd be sunshiny or something. One time I came up, it was like a hurricane was coming through one day, and the next day it was snowing. I mean, wind howling and stuff. You just never know what you're going to get from day to day up there, it seems like. It can be pretty tough.
Yeah, that's anytime it's any swing like that, and like you say, we get pretty much a little bit of everything. Sometimes that detours a man from hunting, and you really don't know what the conditions would have been like. But, I've seen beautiful days you think you was going to run them, and you might not find a rabbit. And on days you think, well, we're just wasting time and get out there and have one of the best days you've had, It's just you just have to get out there and try and see what you're going to get. Because, like I say, it could be one of the different days, One day might be sunny and pretty, next day it's snowing or raining, or like I say, that wind blows a lot through the fall and spring too.
Thomas, if you could build the perfect dog for you, what would they look like? What would they sound like? How would they hunt?
Well, I like one about 14 inches. I like one that's going to listen to one, that's pretty smart dog. He's got to have a smart dog. But I like for one to get in there and grind them rabbits out. And as far as color, I'm not colorblind. If it's doing what I like, it wouldn't matter about that. But, just getting in there, a jump dog, I like a jump dog. We like them fast, but it's hard to get the jump dog to be the fastest dog in the pack most of the time. There's somewhere to be there to stay honest on the line and score. If you can get that jump, you know what I mean? There's something that I don't think there's really no perfect. I mean, everybody wants to have that perfect dog, and there's some that might come close, but they're still going to make mistakes. But I like my perfect dog. Running these Christmas trees, you got to have something pretty fast too. And then that eliminates a lot of jump, because if you got one in there hunting, he's going to run across one of them trees pretty quick, because he can get through that faster, But we hunt the bar some, and I like for them to get in there and grind them out. I like a dog to stay down,
That sounds like a pretty good dog to me.
Yeah, well, everybody wants to win, but, as far as if you old dog and just get in there and jump the rabbits and score at the end, if you get beat, you just get beat. But some days you're going to be the winner if you got that one that's going to find the rabbits. Some dogs just hunts hard. My Driscoll dog, he hunts real hard, but he don't seem like he ever gets into place where the rabbit's at, His mama, you cut her loose, and it's like she'd just go straight in there and find the rabbit. And he'd hunt for hours before he found one sometimes, you know what I mean? But you got to be in there to get them.
Thomas, you've been doing this for a while, and when I first started, I always liked coming up there to the mountains and hunting, and I always liked having you as my judge. I always thought you were really fair and honest, still are, and you've got a good grasp of the rules. You know them, and you know how to apply them. Since you've been doing this for a while, if you could change or eliminate or add a rule that's out there now, would you make any changes?
Well, I think it's set up pretty good now the way they've got it. The only thing that I could think of we'd all like to use our transmitters to tone our dogs back sometimes to make the cast go quicker. But, it's fine the way it is. You got your dog handling good. I like for one to handle good.
Well, I think that's a popular one, Thomas, that people are constantly talking about. I think maybe in the next rules committee that's going to be hotly debated again. But I think that transmitter is going to be a big one where people can carry their GPS units in their pockets and run the collar that'll do both. That'll allow you to tone them back, like you said. And I think one of the biggest things that people talk about is the safety aspect of that too.
I think that plays a big role in it. And another thing, we've bred these dogs big. There's more 15-inch dogs now than they've ever been, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And then you're breeding these dogs, and then you get one that comes off 15 and a quarter, 15 and a half, is too big. I mean, it's hard to breed that. That's a dog you're going to have to do something with. You're going to have to find a home or something. Mm-hmm. I think the PKCs, I think they go 16 inches. I think that'd be a good thing. That would save a lot more dogs for the competition, because you get one that's over the stick. I mean, there's no purpose in keeping him. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're not, unless you gun hunt a lot or something. But I think, that would make a purpose for him. I think that's probably about as equal as using that transmitter as getting your dog back. I mean, because a lot of dogs are throwing big dogs nowadays to get that speed in there, and that stamina. Mm-hmm. But, and that might not be what's a hoot neither, but I can't see breeding these big dogs back down to small dogs the way we've been breeding the last few years. Mm-hmm. It'd take a long time.
Well, Thomas, what advice would you give to somebody that's thinking about competition hunting, or even just getting into rabbit hunting, period? But do you have any advice for newcomers?
Be patient and not jump to nothing. Go spectate a little bit, just join in. Make sure that's what you really might want to do, considering getting you a dog. If you're going competition hunt, you need to try to learn them rules and go out and spectate. You trying to get a feeling of it. It's hard to just do that, though. I mean, you want to jump right in there and get started, and then I think your feelings get hurt. And some of the ways that the rules work, that's you need your dog trained with them rules. Mm-hmm. To try to, and just be patient. You can't expect to go out and win right off the bat. Mm-hmm. When you're just getting started. But I think you go to a reputable breeder and get something that's been bred to do what you're looking for. They're all over the country. Mm-hmm. Good breeders, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And an expensive dog will probably be your most inexpensive dog in the long run, I think, the way they've got them bred today. But I'd say mainly just try to learn the rules. And if you're just going out rabbit hunting, you wouldn't necessarily want a competition dog. Mm-hmm. They may be too fast, sometimes. But I'd just say learn the rules, spectate a few times, and ask questions. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think a lot of people's, even grown-ups, sometimes will just sit and, not question it if they ain't really sure. I think if you ain't really for sure what exactly happened, ask. Even if you know what happened, ask and ask, why you would do it that way. And then, I think explaining things to a newcomer is really important. You need to let them know when you're going out. If you're a judge on the cast or even somebody spectating with them, if you know more than they do about it, try to help them along with understanding what they're doing as they're going through, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But be patient. The main thing, because that, that could hurt your feelings, and then discourage you, but the thing is that you go by them rules, and if they don't, just ask. They have to tell you something, most judges will. They'll explain it all along as you go. If it's something you don't understand, and it's patience on his part too, to try to explain to somebody that's asking a question, even if it's a simple question that they might not know. And I think that's an important thing right there, to talk to your judge and get him to help you. That means a lot getting into this competition. As far as the gun hunting, I'd say the gun safety could probably be the best part.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good advice. And I want to ask you another question, because I know you've traveled a good bit. Do you have a club that's your favorite club to go to, or a part of the country that you like to hunt in more than anywhere else? What's your favorite clubs or places to hunt?
About any club I've been to, I've really enjoyed. I liked it up there real good. I like the bar hunting. We got all these Christmas trees, and it's a lot easier to go to these trees than it is to go wait till a bar patch all day. But, I like going up Saltville. I like going up there. I like that. We went to the bull hunt both years in Pennsylvania, and I loved that. Both trips were super. Ohio. The bars, we pull a cast wind off every now and then, but, it was, I thought it was awesome. Just being, and the people, it was all the same as if you was hunting one place or the other. Everybody was there to seemed like have fun. I enjoyed myself every time I went out of town. But, the Christmas trees, it's fast. And I guess, after running them so many years, I'm glad to see the bars a lot of times. But, there's some around here, but we don't have, as much as they do around, because most of the places here has got where the bar patches and bees cleared off and got Christmas trees on it, but I'd say it ain't bad anywhere it's bars.
Okay. All right. Well, Thomas, I know that you coon hunted quite a bit, and you mentioned that early on about how you coon hunted, and then Ronnie kind of got you talked into maybe chasing beagles around. But tell us a little bit about the differences in coon hunting and rabbit hunting, and maybe talk about, I don't know, is it very different to raise and train a coon hound versus raising and training a beagle? Do you have an opinion if coon hunting is easier than rabbit hunting, or the other way around? Just tell us a little bit about your opinions on one versus the other.
I started off in the coon hunting and got the competition hunting a little bit. I didn't really have a competition dog, but I'd go anyway, and just got to hunt different places, we had a few spots, but, I like going with these other places, and kind of went through that for about, I guess, 4 or 5 years running the coon hounds. We went through, I don't know, 5 or 6 or more than that probably, but, I love one competition, but, and we got down to the last dog, and he was the best dog we'd had, and we granted him out. But before we did, that's when I got to hunting with Ronnie and the Beagles. Cause I might be at a coon hunt all night Friday night, and then Ronnie's had me over my handling a beagle the next morning,
Oh, man.
7 o'clock now, and it got pretty tough. I was probably in the best shape of my life back then. The old coon dog, he put you through there. Transitioning over to the Beagles, I could hunt the same spot, pretty much every day if you wanted to. With the Beagles, coon hound, if you had one that went pretty deep, you'd have to have, you'd have to move. You'd have to have more spots.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of cut the timber out and messed up a few spots we had, and people were buying the property that we'd been hunting, and that, it's easier to get a place to beagle hunt than it is to coon hunt because it's at the night time.
Mm-hmm.
But after we got started in these beagles, the one that took out the handling she was the one that got me started in it. Probably, she could probably be one of the influencers. She was a jump dog. She wasn't real fast, but she could really run her back, and I'd come close to winning every time. And I got to loving that little dog. And then after that, him and my buddy had a male dog, and they crossed him, and I got my first beagle out of him. And I guess from there, it's about all beagles. We raised a couple more coon hounds after that, but after losing a lot of the properties that we'd had to hunt, and then the last litter of pups we had didn't really pan out, as far as the coon hunting went. So I held on to them, just hunted them a little bit every now and then, turned loose, but mine just kept until they passed away, and then just left me with the beagles. And I wouldn't mind the coon hunting now if I had these spots back with all this good timber on it. I wouldn't care to go a night or two a week, but that's what, right now, just really ain't got no place to cut a big hound loose.
I think that's what a lot of people would say all over the country. I feel the same way here, kind of down the mountain from you guys. It's the same here, just loss of good hunting spots for those big dogs, and they bred these coonhounds to just go. I mean, they don't really pack anymore. They just kind of all go in different directions, and they'll go deep. And you really need a lot of woods to hunt today, in my opinion. Today, it's so much easier to me to find, like you said, to find places to rabbit hunt, at least around here. But that was a good answer. I appreciate that. And I kind of want to end with this question, and I don't think I could have this interview without asking you, because I think a lot of people would like to know how you guys are doing up there as a whole. We had Hurricane Helene come through, and it just was devastating to the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, and a lot of other states too. But that's kind of where you live, and that's the running grounds that so many people think of when they think of the Creston Club, and they think of Doe Valley. And could you just tell us a little bit about how you guys are doing? I mean, everybody just really wants to make sure you're okay, and they'd love to hear from you. And so I'm hoping that we can get the word out to folks about Helene, how you guys are doing. But could you just tell us about what you've been going through and how things are, and maybe how long you think it'll take to rebuild, and do you guys think you'll even have hunts next year? I mean, could you just talk us through some of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough time. The roads have slid out, the light poles has broke down. I mean, I didn't have power for 16 days, and the little creek that wasn't an ankle deep hardly, it was about 10 or 12 foot coming down through here. I live right here on this mountain here, and the springs that had dried up through the years had opened back up, and I'm telling you, it was terrible. Same me, it was scared feeling. The wind was blowing. I don't know if it was laying the trees down, but they come up the highways out, hit both trees down across the power lines, hit both poles off. The one in our yard was laid down, and it was a while before they got it fixed. And, but as far as it was devastating, and it took, where you're drilling, or as far as me, where my drilling was before, and it didn't really sink in the first few days. You know what I mean? It's just like you get out here and you try to clean up and be the best you can, help the neighbor do something. Me and my son, we worked down at the church. There's a church right beside my house. But, after they kind of got the roads cut out and kind of got a vehicle going back and forth, they started filling the church up with food. The American people had done that before even any of the government had come in. But it was the churches and the communities that come together, and people come in here to help us, buy us water and food and generators. A lot of people didn't have generators, and then it started sinking in as you got out more and more and looked around to really see what happened, not just to my little community here, but the whole county, countywide. I mean, it was just devastating. And I'm sure on down the river, I've not been down the river toward Jefferson. I can just imagine how that big river was after all this water left these mountains. But, they getting the roads back on. They got the power pretty much. They got it up pretty quick in some places. But, a lot of mudslides across the road, a lot of tiles blowed out and stuff. And it was just a slow process. But I think they're coming back pretty good. It's been over a month now, and it's even more heartbreaking now that I look at it to see how things was and the way it is now. But they're getting it built back. We're getting it built back, and God blessed us that we've got something left, to work with, because some people didn't have nothing left. And that it hit a lot of people really hard. But we didn't have no deaths in our community or nothing. But, like I said, after it got down to the big river, I'd say that's when it probably done more damage. The people, I think we're all doing good. They brought a lot of the communities together that hadn't really been around one another in a while, people sticking together and helping one another, and I think that's really boosted the morale of the people around here, knowing that somebody else over there cares about something too. It's hard to get that everywhere you go.
Well, Thomas, you hit it on the nail on the head. Most of the people that I've talked to, and we have family and friends in the area as well, the local churches were like key players in helping get things to people that really needed it. No knock on the government; they get there when they get there and do what they do.
That's right. That's what they do, and we done what we do. Like I said, the church doors was open, man. We had that thing full of food at no time after we started getting the roads out. We got all the neighbors accounted for, and we suffered a big loss, but we all come out of it with a new relationship with your neighbor and this and that. And I think this 16-year-old boy I got, it was a good experience for him to get to go through this. I mean, it's a shame that it happened, but, I think as the days come on, you used to nothing like that happen around here. Tornadoes. A few years ago, one ripped through Mountain City over a tornado. I always hear they're never hitting these mountains. They're never hitting these mountains, And now you don't know what you're going to get. And it's a good experience for him to learn about how to survive and work and help, and to help the community and himself. And that keeps your mind off a lot of things, But we're going to make it back. But like I say, it'll be years before the roads is fixed properly. A lot of things, I'd say. A lot of timber down in the woods, that's heartbreaking as being a coon hunter.
Oh, yeah.
To go by a place where you used to hunt and all the trees is laying on the ground, it's hard to believe,
Well,
God bless us, we're still here.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that, and I'm happy to hear that even as terrible as a situation as this has been for all you guys, that there was at least some good that came out of it, with the communities coming together and just that feeling of taking care of each other like neighbors should. And so maybe some good came out of it. But if people still want to help, because I know a lot of people, they want to help, they just don't really know what to do. A lot of the folks here support their local churches, and then the churches work with Samaritan's Purse or something like that. That seem to do a pretty good job with getting supplies where they need to go. Is there any place in particular you'd recommend people reach out to if they want to send money or something? Or
well, I'm not really sure about that, Sam. We just been working the church down here, and I think, but pretty much we've been getting about everything that we need. I'm sure they could use it probably in other parts of the state, Asheville, and over in that area. I know that from what I've seen on YouTube, I've not been down the big river, but it looked like it more devastating over there to me. But, the prayers for these people to keep them on the right track, and God to help them to health-wise. There's a lot of people out here throwing rocks, Sam, probably don't need to be doing a whole lot, older people, but they've still got the pride to be out there. Just prayers, this means more than anything that you can do, in my opinion. We're all back on the men's. I'm not sure how long we're going to keep bringing this food to the church, but they've been bringing some a little bit every week, and people's been still coming and getting it, and it's really helping out. But as far as you'd have to look into Samaritan's Purse or one of them groups would be the best thing for donations. But I'd say prayers mean more than anything.
Okay. Well, thank you. I know it's been hard. I know you guys, and it's still hard. It's not over yet, and it won't be for some time. But I really appreciate you just spending a few minutes to tell us what it's like to actually be there and to live through it. Because you see what you see on TV and on the interweb, and if the folks listening today are like me, they don't believe half of what they see or read. So it's really nice to have somebody that's there that could share a little bit about what you've been through. So Thomas, I really appreciate that, and I'm very happy to hear that you guys are rebounding. That's good to hear. So as we finish up, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that I should have asked you? Is there anything you want to promote or I don't know if you have any puppies or stud dogs or anything like that. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Just as far as I know, we'll probably be trying to keep our hunts going next year. I think maybe we'll be able to maybe do that. It's not 100% sure, but I'm thinking we're probably doing that. People support your local clubs, and because they're the ones that need it, and you get a chance to get out and help them. The help is the hardest thing to get in a club. I mean, you can have a bunch, but just a handful usually does. It helps a lot.
That's true.
Just to make these local clubs to keep them going, that's what keeps us all going is the local clubs, because we all can't afford to go to the big hunts all the time. But, you go to these local hunts, and it's like us, you're going out there and hunt, getting them outlaw dogs, them rock bottom dogs, and these and that, and they're as good as anything all over the country right there at your backyard, and you can find out what kind of dogs you got at your local clubs. And it really helps them to come out and support them. It's getting less and less every year, and try to promote these kids. If you can get kids, we ain't got many kids coming into it anymore like we did when Woody was here, and even down here in the church through this hurricane. And we've had all kinds of formula milk and diapers, and there must not be no babies in the community, because that was the least stuff that was going. And I was like, I can't believe there ain't no babies, And so, that was a strange thing. But anyhow, bring your youngins and support the local clubs. keep on keeping on.
Well, that's good. That's a good way to wrap this up. Thomas, thank you so much again for the time, and I know you guys have been through a lot, but I really appreciate you taking time out to help us get to know you a little bit more and to learn what it's like to live up in the mountains and what it's like to hunt up there. And thanks for the update on the hurricane, too. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we thank you, Sam. Appreciate you all.
Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. And remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when we have new content available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.